Alright, so still working on this 85 Chevy here. And so it's weird. This is the third sensor I've gone through to get one that seems like it works. So you got this gray wire here, which is your 5 volts. Then you got this black wire here, which is ground. And so we can measure our voltage here. The key's on. Okay, so see, we got 5 volts there. That's good. Then if we measure our continuity to ground, this wire right here, this little alligator clip, is hooked up to the engine block where the ground goes. So you can see we got 137 ohms to ground, which is a lot. It should be substantially less than that. So if we take our sensor here, if we probe C and A, we should have about 4.2K. Okay, so that's good. Hopefully this is showing up. I got this camera jammed into my gut. And then we have opposing sweeps. So if we go from this guy to this guy, and we go through the arc, resistance changes. Okay. Now if we go the other way, get it in there, and we do the sweep, the resistance changes the other direction. So this sensor appears to be working correctly. The other ones were just completely open. So if we take this and we look at it, we got A, B, C. A is on the right, C is on the left. Well, I guess, it depends on how you look at it like this, but A, the gray wire is your 5 volts. C, the one on the outside, is ground. And the one in the middle, B, is your signal. So if we were to hook this guy up to the ground here, hook this up to the ground here. Okay, well, of course that's not going to work. So we'll do this instead. Take our ground from the engine block, connect them both together. Then if we take our tester on the middle, 2 volts, volts, we should get a sweep here. You see how it's kind of freaking out there? So if we run it through the range, it's not changing. Now a minute ago this was working just fine. That's why I came out here and grabbed the camera, because it was going, there's a dead spot right in the very beginning that you have to adjust out, and then it was going through the range. But now we have nothing. Stupid butt connectors. Nothing. So we have our power, we have our ground, we know that the resistance in the circuit is working, but what the heck is going on here? Why is this not working? We should be getting a voltage sweep. Might help if we plug it in all the way. See? Same deal. We have no voltage when we run it through. This should be working. So all these tests suggest that we have a bad sensor. Which would not actually surprise me one bit, because this is the third replacement I put in, which was replaced before, so this is actually the fourth one. I got that good high quality Chinese stuff. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. I don't know why this, These stupid butt connectors, but I mean, it should be doing something. We should be getting some type of power out of it. So I'm not really sure what to do here. And a minute ago, I actually had this light bulb hooked up to it, so it is passing current. It is holding the load. Not a lot of light comes out of that though, but not really sure how to proceed here with this, because the original problem presented to the previous shop was this exact same thing. It had the code 21 and code 22, which is TPS high and TPS low, and so it makes sense, right? Coming in here, you got power and you got ground, you got no signal coming out of this thing, and needs a sensor. All right, so put a sensor in it, doesn't make a difference. Put another sensor in it, doesn't make a difference. So let's just jump that straight to the ground, hook them all together. No difference. And this is a plastic sensor, so there's no ground on it. I mean, maybe if I pull on these, maybe I can get a... Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that guy. That's very interesting. So is this connector junk? Because everything we have here should say that it works. Alright, I gotta take this connector apart and take a look at it, see what we got. Well, I think I got this figured out here. So, this is one of the reasons why they don't use these round barrel style connectors anymore. I don't know if this camera's gonna pick it up, but that little tip in there is split in half. And it's supposed to be an interference fit where the thing goes in the hole and it, you know, squeezes it together. So what happens here is, I don't know, probably what happened would be my guess. So when I test these, I usually just oh, come on. I usually just take my test lead, and you know, you don't have to go in there too far. You just kind of touch it on there. You can go through the side. Or what I really like to do is I'll take these alligator clips and just kind of clip them on there, and then you can run this to your test, you know, something like this. It's insulated, you know, you drop it on there. So what I think happened here, I've seen this before, is people take these test leads and they just jam them all the way in there, and it deforms the pen. That's why they say don't jam them in there, because it deforms the pen. So I kind of cut this back a little bit so you can see how that kind of looks like. It's supposed to be a flower, you know, it opens up. See, if we flip it over to this side, you kind of see, I don't know if we can see. I need to get a better camera for this. But those pins are spread out, they're like a rocket. This one's all flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take something and spread that pin back out. See if I can get it to swell, because it looks like this signal wire is what the problem is. And that's kind of why I want to do some of these videos like this, you know, live testing, where it's not all set up. You know, this is what you do when you figure this stuff out. It's not like you see a lot of videos where people are like, yeah, do this, you'll step it. Hey, everybody, smash that like button. Like, but this is how it really happens in real life. So the other three sensors were bad. They had no resistance, like I showed here a couple minutes ago, the resistance between them, and there was no sweep. They were just, the first one was dead nut shorted open, and the other one was dead nut shorted. So I'm gonna mess with this connector here a little bit, see if we can bring this back to life, and we'll come back in a minute. Okay, so I took this special tool here. This is a Harbor Freight pick that's been ground down. This is actually a pick that I made for working on the new Cherokees and stuff. So all I did was just kind of stick it in there, pop this open a little bit. It's a little bit more than it should be, but that's it as far as I'm going to do. I don't want to mess with this because I don't want to have to drive into town to go get a connector that's already been replaced. So these ones, you know, I just kind of stuck it in there to pry it open a little bit. Same thing. So I'm going to hook this all back up and try it again, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so got the connector put back together, some electrical tape on it. This is kind of a signal to say, don't mess with me, of course. And my setup here just comes apart because, you know, that's how the universe works. So I'm using these alligator clips to hold this ground wire and the sensor ground to the connector there. So let's see what happens here. I haven't tested this, so we got our 5 volts hooked up. The ground, the other ground to the engine block is unhooked. It's over here. We're not going to try that now. Keys on, so let's stick this on here and see what happens. Okay, so we got nothing because of the dead spot, right? There's always a dead spot. You have to adjust it. Oh, look at that, look at that. So if I start moving this through the range here. Oh man, look at that. Floor it. 5 volts. Look at that. Beautiful. Wow, that's really good news. Alright, so it looks like we had a combination of cheap junk and cheap junk, because this connector's been replaced. Cheap junk here, cheap junk there. 2 pieces of cheap junk together give you cheap junk results. This is why I like to use more higher quality parts than this, because I don't want to have to keep dealing with this. And it's a case in point. This is it. So, you know, this is what happens when you buy cheap stuff. You know, there's a reason that the OEM stuff is more expensive. You know, I mean, look, here we go. So I'm going to put this back together, get the sensor on there, hook it up, and we actually have to set the base. We have to set it at around 0.5 volts. So we have to adjust it. And so I'm going to leave the signal loose, and I'm going to go ahead and fix these connections here and then move forward. Okay, made some progress. Came in here and soldered and shrink sleeved these powers and grounds because butt connectors are stupid. And so working on getting this set up, but it looks like 1 volt is about as low as it's gonna get, because I can kind of mess with this thing a little bit. But it looks like 1 is about as low as it goes. So if we grab the throttle linkage here and move it through its pace, we got movement. So I'm gonna go check the diagrams. Well, actually, this is not even all the way down, but looks like 1 volt is about as good as it's gonna get, because I'm not trying to pull this thing off and file out the holes, and you know, kind of like we used to do with distributors on Jeeps when the timing chains would stretch. But that's about it. So I'm gonna put the EGR valve back in, put this all back together, and reset the PCM and see what we get. But you know, let me know if you guys want to see more of this live testing, unscripted sort of stuff. I mean, this video is probably going to be pretty long, and most people are in the school of thought, well, I just want it quick and fast. Show me it now, and if you don't show me exactly what I want to see, then I'm going to complain. Now, you want your money back, because I don't give any refunds. So, hopefully this helps somebody. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But we'll keep making them. And by we, I mean me. Alright, running like a Swiss watch. Idle came down like it should. Before, the idle would stay high, so the idle valve's working now. Check engine light is off. Seems like we got good heat coming out of it. I replaced the evap hoses over there too. They're all cracked. So it looks like this is a good one, and yet another reason to make sure you go back and recheck over things. You know, just because somebody said they did something doesn't mean that they did, or they did it right. You know, some disgruntled employee here, you know, whatever. But here we go. Chalk this up to a win. I gotta call the guy. He's gonna be happy.